You're watching BBC One. Now to introduce Antiques Inspectors, here's Hugh Scully.
Antiques Inspectors was the last television series that Jill Dando made for the BBC. Indeed, she only completed work on the last programme a few days before her death. Now, with the full support of Jill's family and the production team of Antiques Inspectors, it's been decided to show that series as a tribute to her. It splendidly captures that great personal warmth and sense of fun that enabled Jill to touch so many people's lives. For me, it's the way I will always want to remember her, and I hope that you feel the same when you see these programmes.
We're aboard the last coastal sailing barge to be built, and we're heading for Whitstable, which is our first port of call on the Antiques Inspectors this week. Able seamen Lars and David are with me. Lars, what are you hoping to find around here?
Well, this is a part of England that's been settled for a very long time. Of course, Julius Caesar landed just upriver from here, so we could find anything from Romans to, what, modern souvenirs.
Oh, yes, David.
Well, this coast is also renowned for its holidays. And Dickens was here from 1837 to 51, taking his summer holes, so maybe we'll find some Dickens things.
So while you're both hunting down the treasures of Kent, I have a feeling that you probably have a challenge for me, as you usually do.
Well, we do. We do. We've heard of something in the area called pudding pan pie, and we've got absolutely no idea what it is.
Well, we have a sort of slight idea. It's either gastronomic or it's ceramic. Maybe it's something to do with pottery. I'm not sure which. Over to you.
A little way inland, beyond the marshes of the Kent coast, Hilary and Tim are already hard at work, so while Captain Gerard Swift here brings the cabbie into port, let's see how they're getting on. Hard to port, Gerard.
OK.
This is a marvellous thing. Where did you get it from?
Well, it's been handed down from my great-great-grandfather, who originally made it in the 1800s, you know, and we've carried it in our family since then.
So your great-great-grandfather built it, did he?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And what was his job?
Well, he was a ship's carpenter.
That's interesting, because from the 17th century, in 1649, the Admiralty specified that all naval vessels had to be accompanied by a full-scale model. And this is not one of those. This comes from a category known as a sailor-made model, where the man was connected with the sea, and this is typical of that sort of work, in that it is accurate to a degree, and he's obviously a man who understands the shape of the hull, and all of that is properly represented in the model, but it just doesn't have the fineness of detail that the dockyard variety would have had. But he nevertheless has done a jolly nice job. I'm rather intrigued by the look of the figurehead here, which seems to my eye to be a Scotsman wearing a kilt and his cravat and a little tam o' shanter, which is rather fun and beautifully carved and well worthwhile restoring. In an auction, I think, even in this damaged condition, you'd be likely to get probably about £1,500 to £2,000.
It's very nice, huh?
Now this is what I like, a proper lantern slide. Now these are all sorts of crazies dancing in the moon. That's wonderful.
And he's the professor looking at it all.
Noting it all down. Let's have a look at another one. But this came to you from your father. Was he a professional magic lanternist, or was it a hobby? Or
I don't think there were professionals in those days. I think it was just gentlemen who had hobbies.
And he would give shows, what, privately, or?
Well, if people asked him to, but it was mostly for the good of the church or some other charity.
Right.
Except for my birthday party. And every child wanted to come to Oliver's birthday party.
I'm sure they did.
Because you wouldn't believe that kids could sit that long and look at things on the wall.
Well, this is lovely. I like this. This is
Mother Goose.
Mother Goose. Now,
yes.
Do you remember that one from when you were a child?
That is my favourite.
Is it really? Yeah, I can see
Yes.
that. And this is nice. This, well, you can actually see how the slide works
Yes.
here with the blacked out pieces, which when you slide it quickly, it gives the impression of movement. When you actually look at the quality of the slides, I mean, these were all hand-painted. The slides that you've got here vary in date from perhaps the 1875 through to about 1910-ish. And, I mean, they're just so jewel-like, the colours, aren't they? They really sort of shine. The lantern itself would be dating from the turn of the last century.
That's right.
Sadly, it's been converted to electricity, so that does affect the value. But even so, I would say that it would be worth between perhaps £150 and £200. But the more interesting side, as far as valuation is concerned, are the slides, because each one of those can be worth between £20 and £40.
Really?
And
That does surprise me.
You've got 30 of them.
Yes.
So that means that the slides are going to be worth about £600 on their own.
Yes.
So with the lantern and also the other assorted slides that you have, we're certainly talking about £1,000 and probably a little bit more than that. So
Yes, it makes you gasp, doesn't it? Well, it does me, because I didn't think it was anything like that.
oh, good.